Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to World of Tanks. We're here with another review, which is the Hetzer, because I've never done a Hetzer review, and I don't know why. So the Hetzer is, of course, the Tier 4, one of the three different Tier 4 German tank destroyers that you can get, non-premium, of course. So, the Hetzer here, I love it, but we'll do a honest review of it. Anyway, so 270 hit points, which is it's a tank destroyer, and I don't actually have any tank destroyers to compare it to, but it's pretty much um, it is. Let me see, Marder 38T, 270 hit points, Stug 3 or Stug 3, 260 HP. What else have we got here? We have, of course, the SU-85B, which is 260 hit points. In America, you've got the M8A1, which is 250, the T40, which is 275. In La France, you've got SAU-40, 280 hit points. British, you've got the Electo with 270. Yep, 270 hit points. China, you don't have anything. Japan doesn't have anything, and Czechoslovakia doesn't have anything. So it's pretty high in the hit points. But after all, it is only a tank destroyer, so it's not going to have as much as some of the other tanks here, such as that, etc., etc. It weighs 17.42 tons, which is all right. It's pretty decent. Obviously Matilda, you got that. It's a fairly light tank. It is, after all, based on the chassis of the Panzer 38T, although it's actually called that thing, the LTVZ38. It's based on that thing. So, yeah. It has a 220 horsepower engine. Playing this thing with the stock engine of 100 horsepower is not a very fun thing to do. So you'll definitely want to get up the engines pretty quickly. And you'll also definitely want to get the upgraded suspension for the increased reverse speed. It has a 42 km/h top speed limit, which is pretty fast. It is, after all, a tank destroyer. It's a very fast, mobile tank destroyer that can mount a variety of weapons. So it's a very, very mobile machine. As for the degrees per second of the hull traverse, it's not very good. 30, really. It's pretty bad. I mean, even the Matilda has a 36 degrees per second. 50, 36, 30, 28 for the B1. The B1's pretty mobile. And the Type 95 Heavy has got a 28 degrees per second. So, yeah, the traverse speed is not very good, but it is. However, I haven't really had much of a problem with it, so make of that what you will. With the stock suspension, it is only 28 degrees per second, but 100% crew, etc., will definitely help you with that. 60 frontal hull armor. That is also sloped back. It is very, very good front sloped hull armor. 20 at the sides. Even though it is sloped, you're not going to stop many shots unless you are angled like that, and they will bounce off. And then, of course, 8 at the rear. And even though that is a very big slope, it is not going to help you whatsoever. So the hull armor is pretty decent, but only really at the front. The sides, unless you angle it like that and side scrape or whatever, you're probably not going to do much with that. As for the guns, you can mount the stock 75mm Stuck 40 L42, and then you can then from there you can upgrade to either the 75mm Pack 39 L48 or the 105 Stuck 42 L28 Howitzer, which is the one that I like mounting. It all depends on whether you want to go assault gun or proper tank destroyer. Assault gun is, of course, the 105, and the proper tank destroyer is the Pack 39. Or you can mount a flamethrower. No, you can't. If only you could. What would that really do? I don't know. But anyway, the Hetzer was also mounted with a flamethrower if they didn't want either a tank destroyer or a howitzer. If they didn't want to go assault gun or tank destroyer, they could just mount a flamethrower on it and then just say, burns the Englanders. and they would run forwards and of course burn stuff, and it would all be nice because the English would be like, aha, we have Pierce, ping, ting. Oh, I say, it bounced off. But yes, so you can either mount it with a howitzer or a 75mm pack, is what I'm trying to say. As for the two guns, we will first look at not that one actually. Let's look at the 75mm because I have barely used it on this. I may have used it like really early on, but then I found the assault gun. And then I was like, I see a thing here with this howitzer. If I mount it up with high explosive, I can one-shot anything at my tier. So I then mounted that. But anyway, this is the gun that other people do mount. It's a 75mm gun. Rate of fire 15.38, which is alright. 110 penetration with standard AP, 158 with APCR, and 38 with high explosive. 110, 75 damage, which is alright. Pretty good dispersion, very good aiming time of 0.37 and 1.7, and it weighs just over 1500 kilograms. And that is the gun that some people like mounting, but if not, they will obviously mount the assault gun version, which is the much better version, because it's a 105mm howitzer that has a 6.98 round of fire, rate of fire. It has 64mm of penetration with AP, 104 with heat, and 53 with high explosive. With AP it does 350 damage. With APCR, not APCR, heat, it can do 350 damage. With high explosive it does 410. Considering the fact that nothing at this tier has got 410 hit points, if you penetrate you will obliterate them. Which is very fun to do on lightly armoured stuff such as Electos, sides of Hetzers, some other things like the Type 95 Heavy, Tier 3s. T28s are very fun because they will come up to you, they'll roll up to you, they'll be like, we have a 76mm gun or a 57mm gun. What are you going to do? Bang! Oh dear, you've been one-shot. How sad. But the dispersion is not very good because it is, of course, a howitzer. It has a 0.53 dispersion, which is very bad, but it's a howitzer, so we'll ignore that. It has a 1.7 second aiming time, which is very good for a howitzer. Weighs 2,100 kilograms, and with my current loadout, I reload in 7.42 seconds. It's a howitzer of death. It has a 44 degrees per second gun traverse, and it can extend to around here, or it can extend to around here, because it can't go any further than around here, because of the driver's hatch at the front. Otherwise the gun would block the view of the driver, which would not be a good thing. So it has a pretty limited left gun traverse. However, to the right it's pretty decent. You can, if you're aiming at somebody like that, you will have a very nice angle in which shells will bounce off of you. So to the left you will have a slightly worse angle, but your frontal hull armour is good and sloped anyway, so yeah. But the gun traverse aside, it has a pretty good kind of arc, considering the fact if the enemy tank is going from the left to right, if they're going from right to left, and you're not sort of all the way over, you're gonna struggle to get more than one shot off at them. But yeah, view ranges. It's a closed-top tank destroyer, and tank destroyers had a nerf to their view range like a couple of patches back. But 260 view range, which is not very good. But what can you do? We don't control when stuff gets nerfed and what does get nerfed. So the view range isn't very good. The signal range is pretty alright though. Pretty alright, pretty decent. The FUG, what is it? 19? No, the FUG 11. Yeah, the FUG 11 radio set is pretty good compared to other things such as the Valentine 2, the Matilda, the T28, which has a very bad signal. It has less signal range than it does view range. Wow, GG radio. Yeah, compared to all these things other than the B1, the signal range is pretty good. So the Germans always did have very good radios in modern tanks. So yeah, there's your explaining. As for your consumables, I always go with the standard consumables. As for the equipment fit, you can fit a lot of equipment. So enhanced springs, sure, if you want to do that. Enhanced springs if you want. Improved vents will help get your howitzer reload time down, so sure, go with improved vents if you want. Light spool liner, could help this tank. It has pretty good frontal hull armor. Um, so if you want the light spore liner, then again it is only plus 20%. So make of that if you will. The camo net. Probably not going to be very useful on the assault gun version, but if you're going tank destroyer version, then sure, camo net will definitely help you. Ammo rack, if your ammo rack keeps getting damaged, then sure. Tank gun rammer is definitely useful on the Howitzer, and it will definitely probably be useful on the tank destroyer version. Binos, if you're using the 75mm, then sure, go with binos. Coated optics, yep, sure, because you don't have very good view range. Enhanced gun lane drive, Howitzer, probably not as useful, but I've mounted it anyway. As for the pack, what about this? 1.7. You don't necessarily need it, but if you want it, sure. I just put it on there because I felt that it was taking too long to reach 1.7 seconds, so instead I just fit it on there so that I can get it down. And toolbox is always useful, so that's what I've mounted. I could replace it with improved vents, but yeah, what can you do? I'm not going to. Because I'm an assault gun, I sort of need to keep my forward momentum, so you know, toolbox is definitely useful. So, as for you have the 4 crew. You have your commander / radio operator. You have your gunner, your driver, and your loader. So, I have my commander has got lots of awards, as you can see. He's a very good commander. As for the skills, I'm going 6th sense because it's always nice to have 6th sense. Relay, it's probably not a bad idea on this tank because you have pretty good signal range. Signal boosting, probably if you want to get that signal range up even further, then sure, signal boosting. Call for vengeance if you want, yeah. And situational awareness to extend your view range is always going to be useful, and is going to be useful on the Hetzer. Eagle Eye, yes, definitely, so that you can see all of your lovely module damage that you do with your high explosive 105mm shells as you smash into poor, defenseless, unarmed targets such as Electos or T-28s. So that's always useful. Jack of all trades if you want. Recon, yeah, definitely going to be useful. And Mentor, I don't really see the point of Mentor, but if you want Mentor, then sure, go for it. And then, of course, you've got your common skills. As for the Gunner, I have not gone with Deadeye because Deadeye only works with AP, APCR, and heat shells, not high explosive, which is what I use. But if you're going with the tank destroyer version, then definitely go for Deadeye if you want. I am instead going with Brothers in Arms to get down, everything else. Snapshot during turret rotation, it doesn't have a turret, so no. Improve the accuracy of a damaged gun. It's a Howitzer. Probably not going to be as useful. And designated target, if you've just fired and you've spotted something, 2 more seconds isn't really going to help you. And of course you've got your common skills. Driver, I am going with Smooth Ride. Could replace it for something else, but something else. I could go with off-road driving, or I could go with clutch braking. I may actually do that, because firing on the move, something that I do, but Yeah, skill is cumulative with the effects of a vertical stabilizer, but I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to retrain him. There you go. Yes, I'm going to do that. So, what could we equip on here? Well, you've got clutch braking, which seems like a very useful thing, so sure. I'm actually going to go clutch braking because clutch braking. You do, after all, only have 30 degrees per second, but I do have lots of things which increases that, and an even more mobile Hetzer will be very nice. Preventive maintenance, if you keep getting set on fire, then sure, go for it. You don't have armour to protect your engine, so sure. Smooth Ride, improve the accuracy while firing on the move. Yeah, it's a tank destroyer. It's a 105 Hetzer though, so if you want Smooth Ride, then sure. Off-road driving is always useful, and controlled impact, if you want to ram stuff, then you can, but I would say probably not, because you're a tank destroyer, so you have less health anyway than a normal tank. Then, of course, you've got all of your common skills. And finally, we've got the loader. The loader, as you can see, he's also got lots of stuff. My crew is very experienced in the Hetzer, so I am going with Adrenaline Rush, because getting 10% knocked off of the Howitzer reload time is very useful, and it's very fun. Safe stowage, sure, if you want. If your ammo keeps getting damaged, then sure. Intuition, if you're switching between AP and APCR, if you're using the 75mm, or high explosive and heat, if you're using the Howitzer, then sure. And then, of course, you've got your common skills. So overall, this tank, the only problem really with using the Howitzer is, apart from the terrible accuracy and the fact that you're only going to be doing about 150 average damage if you don't penetrate, which is still pretty good damage. It's better than bouncing with a 75mm pack, but the only problem with the Howitzer really is that it has a very limited amount of ammo count. It can only hold up to 20 Spangenarten 105mm high explosive shells, so that's really the downfall. You can run out of shells. I have done that a couple of times almost. I got down to like 8 or 5 high explosive shells, so you really got to be careful with these shots. But if you're, on your own fighting against like 5 enemy tanks and you have a very limited amount of shots left, then you're probably not going to live. But, oh well, what can you do? So, yeah, overall, the Howitzer, the Hetzer even, is a very fun tank with the Howitzer. With the pack, I'm not too sure because I have never really used the pack, but still, this is a very fun tank to use. I'd say everyone go out and buy one now, equip it like this, and you'll have fun throughout the ages. So, I will thank you for watching, and goodbye.